last 14 years, I've lived, breathed, worked, done everything I can in the Cotswold Water Park. And today we're at a super special, intimate, I call an intimate little lake compared to what I'm used to fishing, you know. It's a little bit out of my comfort zone really, but we've been here all morning. Got here at 7 o'clock this morning. Been stood here watching the water, drinking teas, drinking coffees, having a laugh. And we've seen loads and loads and loads of fish. Now, hopefully, we're going to catch a few on this session, but like I say, I'm out of my comfort zone really. I'm usually used to fishing a lot bigger lakes, a lot, I'd say harder lakes as well, you know, but it's nice to have a chop and a change and fish somewhere different. And I've been working a lot on the lake recently, and I just really can't wait to try and catch one of these big old linears that are in there, man. They're beautiful fish. The water's dead clear, it's typical Cotswold gravel pit, you know, and I'm just buzzing to get these rods out now. I can't wait for it. I'm being held back at the minute, so I want to get it going. Buzzing, man. Mate, you got to realise, like, I don't see this many fish showing ever when I go fishing, so it's a big buzz this. Let's go, mate. Come on, we ain't got time for talking, son. Oh, what up? Right in the spot, look. That's it, that's where they've been showing all morning. Just look, and again, boom, wallop. Oh mate, this is it, you know. From everything we've been seeing this morning, we just put the camera on it there and there's fish straight on the spot, you know. We've been watching them. There's like a really elongated spit here which comes out, which you can't fish of, but, and the bay behind it, you can't fish in there either, and the fish clearly know that, you know. Every lake you ever fish, it's got an out of bounds area. You know the fish are gonna be in there 80% of their time usually. And when we turned up this morning at 7 o'clock, we didn't actually see anything showing until it started to really the sun just started to come out above the trees. As soon as it come out above them trees, that was it. They were going like dolphins in there, you know, and for me, it's really unusual for myself to see that, because generally the lakes I fish are a lot lower stocks and a lot bigger, and you can't see all of the water, but where we were stood this morning, you could literally see, you know, 99% of the lake, and everything that we've seen this morning, the fish have all been in front of this swim that luckily I've managed to get into. So we've seen those fish showing there all morning. They're still showing there now. I mean, there's a bit of it tucks round, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 little dot islands there. Around the back of there is No Carp Bay, it's called. Luckily we can fish in there. I've already put some bait in there this morning when me and Tom walked round, but I've just been over and checked it and I can't see anything yet, but the sun needs to get up on it, you know. It's a shallow bay, it's probably 4 foot deep. There's loads of little humps and bumps and siltweed, big glowing, bright green candy floss, you know, so they love that this kind of year, and hopefully when that sun gets round there, like I say, we should see some fish in there, so there's always a chance of getting a rod in there and try and sneak in one out. But I think so far with what I've seen, we're kind of showing just where that fish was then. They're showing just a little bit past that spit, so I'm not going to go too far past that spit in case one tries to kite round if you know, we get lucky and we get a bite if it kites round there. But what I am going to do is just go just kind of level, if not just a little bit past it. I don't want to go too much into their zone and spook them, because they seem to be quite happy there this morning. You know, we've seen 2 or 3 real good fish come out, and like I say, there is a couple of 40 pounders in there, so fingers crossed, and hopefully we've got a bit of luck on our side and we'll try and get one. Well, I've been waiting for the boys here to get their stuff set up, and I just keep seeing fish showing one after another out on this spot. So I've never cast out in there before ever, but I can see some certain holes in amongst the weed and that, but I can't miss this opportunity to try and get myself a bite, you know. They keep coming out all in the same spot. I've got a rig here and a rod ready to rock and roll, so I'll try and flick it out. So I don't know what it's going to land in, what it's going to land on. I have no idea yet until I cast it out, but we're going to have to get one out there ASAP. I'll do this on the money, boy. Right, that can just stay out there now while we get everything else set up, because I just can't resist that chance. It was a good fish, it just come out then, so. Single yellow mulb soaked in a bit of squid. Always, always, always put your eye behind your alarm. See way too many people not doing that and then trying to film themselves having the rods ripped in for the gram. Not edgy. It's not cool, kids. It's not cool and it's not edgy to film a run ripping off. I hate it. Right, he's away. Another one of Hammonds' top 10 tips is never set your net up until you've cast out. It's unlucky. Cool, I'll tell you what, this net's seen some action over the years. Bearing in mind it's had 9 different nets and 4 different handles, boy. I'm just trying to find a bit of a deeper spot really, because to me it seems like 3 or 4 foot deep there. Doesn't seem very deep at all. So using this light lead, I'm just gonna keep having a little flip where we kept seeing them fish this morning, because they were very tight to the bank actually, a lot tighter than that lead just went. About there. That was better, wasn't it? Too close. Although that just clipped the bushes, I'm going to put a clip on it there so I know that I'm very, very close to where those fish are showing. And I'm just trying to gently tease it. There, that's the spot. Gently tease it, because I can feel my lead just flicking through the weed, but yeah, it's hung up now in the weed, so just in front of that was lovely. That'll do. I'm marching like I mean business, because they're around there and I want to get a bit of bait in so we don't spook them before I cast out. I'll learn and bite. Lovely. We've had an absolutely awesome day. It's really flown by, to be honest. I mean, like I said, I've never fished a lake before, so to kind of turn up, get all my spots, find the fish, locate the spots, tie your rigs up, you know, because I never come with a preconceived idea really of what rigs I'm going to use, where I'm going to fish, and the fish really told us this morning where I need to be. I've got one rod out rocking. I've seen loads of fish over it. It's really tight in to the point straight opposite us. So really hopeful for that rod, but I've been out in the boat earlier on. Luckily I've been given permission to use the boat. Heavily baited, to be honest, because how active the fish were this morning. Although I've been told by the bailiffs and Steve, the owner, to kind of go light on the bait. To be honest, from all the activity that I've seen this morning, you know, those fish have burnt off a lot of calories, really, so to say. So I myself are believing a lot of heavy bait in, and I've gone out there and I've given them some bait. I've probably put 5 kilo boilies, 5 kilo pellet, and a load of maggots out there as well. Just really try and draw them in. It's quite clay out here, rather. A lot of the lakes in the water park are really gravelly, but this one seems to have a lot of clay, or it might just be a lot of sediment sat on top of the gravel. We could actually see them milking up, just absolutely hammering one spot on the far bank earlier when we had to walk round, and they're going to nail this bait tonight, hopefully. So I'm going to fire these 2 rods straight out. The I'm going to fish them quite tight together, probably a rod length between the two. Like I say, one's on a bottom bait, one's on a hinge as usual. If we get pickups on the pop-up, I'll change the other one over, vice versa. If we get them on the bottom bait, I'll change them straight back over as well. But really want to get these rods out now because evening time is going to be really good on there. It's looking good, I've seen fish, so I'm going to get it done. Oh, that's perfect. Done. Wallop. Totally knackered this morning. Luckily, managed to get a couple of bites last night. Had 3 bites in total. Lost one of them, unfortunately, 20-30 yards out. It was a real heavy bed of weed and got it through the other beds and then it just got hung up in that. It was carrying quite a bit of weed with it and it got hung up and anyway, the hook come out, but never mind, a loss is a loss. But after that, as soon as it started going dark, that's when the bites started coming, just as Steve, the owner of the lake, said to us. I had one 20-pound, real grey, kind of short, dumpy mirror, and then a nice, kind of randomly scaled 15-16-pound mirror as well. Both nice fish, but not quite the size we were after. The conditions, they've changed quite a bit from yesterday. We had quite a bit of rain come in last night and the wind swung back round. I heard a few further on down the bank, but really feel like there's a good opportunity for a bite today. I just need to figure out what it is that's going to get me that bite. I redid the rods around 5:30 this morning. Like I said, I got up early about 4:30 and just sat here, a couple of teas and that, just trying to figure out what was going on, where they were, and I heard a few down to me right. It doesn't mean I'm going to move it all, I'm going to stay here because we have seen them out in front of the swim again. It's just a chop and change of tactics, try and get a bite. I think maybe a zig might do it, or kind of like a real wet sloppy spod mix. Just try and pull them in, just pull them back into the area, because yesterday I baited very heavily and within an hour or two of putting that bait in, I have 3 bites. So it's obviously, they're obviously hungry, you know, despite what the bailiff said about fishing bags and small spoms of bait. They obviously want a bit of grub. Maybe those 3 bites I had and they cleared me out, you know. It's a great thing about fishing, you just never know. But like I say, I'm going to reel in now, change all my baits again, put a bit more bait in, maybe put a zig out there. It's only about 6 foot deep, but I think maybe a 3-4 foot zig, something like that. It might just get a bite, but yeah, we'll see. Since I've been in the Cotswold Water Park, over the last 10 years anyway, I've seen like loads of changes happening with all the lakes, and what seems to be happening with a lot of them is they're building lodges around them, you know, for fishing, private bookings and things. And Lake Potchard is one of those lakes. It's around 11.5 acres in size and it's got 200 fish in it. A number of 30s, a couple of 40-pounders and some which are kind of pushing mid-40s now as well, Steve's told us, who own the lake. It's a particularly shallow venue, compared to the ones I'm usually used to fishing, which are, you know, 20 odd foot deep. It's really weedy, it's full of clay, and there's plenty of features. But with its shallow depths, plenty of weed, and it's still holding its warmth for this time of year, it's a great choice of venue to try and come and get a few extra bites. Rods are out, rocking. What I actually ended up doing was getting the marker right out there, back onto my spot. And just after a couple of casts, I could just feel straight away. Overnight, we're putting that bucket of bait in, it's got even cleaner and even smoother, and it's, you know, I can really feel that leg cracking down the spot. So my right hand rod and my middle rod, I've kept them out there at a bit of distance with a lot of bait. I've gone heavy again on the bait, a lot of pellet, a lot of boilie. And another 3 pint of maggot I've put out there. I've put 3 different type of liquids and some oils in with my mix, and I've topped it up with a bit of water, you know, just to get inside the boilers. Whereas some of the other lakes in the water park, it's completely clear, shingly gravel. This one, it seems to be like there's just a layer of sediment over the top of it. You get a real hard crack on the lead, but when I've been out there on the boat and I can look over the side, I can see that, you know, it's not gravel, it's almost clay like. And when we've had the drone up in the air over the top of the spot, you can see it's really milking up off some of them. We've seen them rubbing across the silt, and you can see big stripes of clay running down over fish and that. So with having that really smelly bait out there on the bottom, it's just going to try and draw them in at night. I'm hoping, I'm holding out for a bite throughout the day, but it just doesn't seem the same as it was yesterday. Yesterday they're really active throughout the day, showing and things like that, and today they just haven't been so much. So I think just before it gets dark, I'll have another recast, freshen the baits up, because like I say, with them sitting in that little bit of sediment that's just over all my spots where I'm fishing, I don't want them to become blinded by the smell of the silt or anything. So I want them to be fresh, I want them to be stinky. Squid and octopus I've got out there with little krill wafters on there. And they'd done me bites last night, so I think again we'll probably have a repeat of last night's action. Just coming into dark again, hopefully we'll have a couple of fish. I'm really having dramas now. For the last 4 or 5 hours I've had 2 ducks constantly diving over my left hand rod. It's in quite shallow water, it's probably only in 5 foot of water, in a bit of, it's in like a bit of a gravel crease, you know, like a bit of a dip where they've obviously rubbed it all out and tore it up in the past. And yesterday when I got the rig out there, I walked around there and I could see it was quite, you know, it's quite dirty, the spot. There's a lot of sediment sitting over it, and when I've been around there today I can just see it's absolutely polished off crystal, where I had that fish off it yesterday evening, and I've definitely been done out there today, because when I reeled in, my rig was just, it was just smashed to pieces, the up was burred over and everything, so I've been done on that rod. The ducks keep picking me up, and I've got about an hour's left of light now. Last night I ended up sitting up quite late. You know what it's like, that big buzz, isn't it, on your first night on a new venue, and you want to sit up. I do anyway. I love staying up as late as I can, and I did hear a very good fish. Like I say, there's a couple of 40 pounds in there, and I heard a very good fish. I'd probably put it around that size, and it was further round to my right, to be honest. So I'm just thinking of just quickly, before it gets too dark, taking a rod out there, probably out in the boat again. Like I say, I've been given permission to use the boat. We're using a life jacket and being safe and everything. So I think I'm going to have this rod in quick. I've already got a rig tied up in case, you know, I definitely made this up in my mind, like. So I'm going to have him in. I'm going to whip out there quick in the boat, just have a scan about, take the rod out with me, and then if I see a nice clear area where I think fish have been fed out, you know, fish have been feeding on it or flanking on it or something like that, because they're all covered in clay, absolutely caked in it. It's all smeared down the faces, all over the backs and everything. So yeah, I'm going to take a rod over there quick, light bait in the boilers, just boilers on their own I think, and try and slip one of these big girls up. That was a bit unexpected, wasn't it? Talking about whether or not they're going to go, whether or not I should have recast them, and off we go. Oh man, that was epic. It went in my hand, it's burnt on my finger, the braid. Come on, you dog. They've got rods everywhere as well. Look at it, it's carnage. This braid carnage in the swim. Come on. God, you can't beat that sound, can you? The braid on the take. Oh, every time. No, there's a fisher. The little one. Hey! Bloody hell. Wow. Definitely weren't expecting that one that quick. I haven't even got out of a life jacket yet. Look. That's the start of it. Let's get this one out of its net quick and get that rod fired straight back out there, because there's bigger ones to be had. That's a little puppy. Managed to get the hook straight out in the net, so I want to just show you. It's only a little one, so I just want to show you quickly and get that rod straight back out, because we know they're all over me out there. He's a funny little character. It's like he's had an accident, been caught up in a bit of line at one point in his life, I think. But yeah, little one there, little Lake Potchard carp. Lovely. Now, we want one about 4 times the size of this now, didn't we really? Let's get him back, because I want to get that rod straight back out there. Just scratch him with the old scissors, and it's enough just to activate a little bit more flavour, a little bit more pulling power. You wouldn't go out in the town without Izzy Miaki on, would you? Jupe, we wouldn't go down the town with your jupe jump. Oh my God. Have faith, Hammonds. Do me, boy. Well, this is the second bite of the morning. Quite unusual really, because nothing else has happened in the mornings, but got the rods back out. A couple of spoms just over, you know, not a lot of bait, just more liquids and a little bit of powder in there just to really cloud the water up, try and get the confidence up for a daytime bite, and it worked. Yeah, buzzing with that. Got a proper nice little mirror in the net there as well. It's probably another 20 pounder, but we'll get this one put back, show you that lovely mirror. Yeah boy, how's about that? Lovely times, boys. This is the first bite this morning. Come just before it got light. He's absolutely walloping the maggots out of him, so we've been tearing them up. I think it's a good idea. I went over to tackle shop yesterday, got a few more, and he seems to have done the bites really. He seems to definitely help, but he's a pretty little carp. I'm sure one day, hopefully, he'll be a big fat 40-pounder swimming around in this lake. Oh yes, look at that, man. Give him a little second just to make sure he's all right. He's absolutely sweet. He's ready to go. Fit to fight another day. Lovely. Let's get a 40-pounder then. I've had a lovely time here over at Pochard. It's been great fun to come back to a smaller size venue and actually get a couple of fish as well, you know. So I'm used to catching not a lot of fish on the bigger lakes, but coming back here, it's been really nice. It's nice to also fish a few different tactics as well, you know, like fishing maggots and things like that. The lakes are usually fish, you know, you can't get away with it. There's a couple of really nice big linears in there, and due to its winter form, we're planning on coming back in January, I think, and hitting it quite hard with the old grot. So it'd be nice to catch up then, get a big one, hopefully, midwinter, right in the depths of it. It's freezing cold, jet black linear. Ooh. When I was on the last job, I was rushing it a bit, and being the old fencing game, you know, there's two types of chains for a chainsaw. There's an arborist chain, and then there's a fencer's chain. Kind of coincides with the farmer's chain. Just cuts through oak, nails a lot. So now I'm paying the price, and I've got to sharpen my chain back up now. But once she's sharp, she'll cut like butter. It's all about brute strength. That's what it is. There you go. Wallop. In you go, me chavvy. Wallop that one in. Easy. I moved here 15 years ago. A month ago, last weekend. It's a bit precise, isn't it? It's just before the Easter holidays it was. Packed all my belongings into me Transit Connect and shifted on up to the Cotswolds from Winchester, where I was at Sparsholt. Lovely times. Best decision I ever made. Getting down the old Cotswolds valleys. hazard. A hazard to myself. It's the only hazard I am. Isn't that the truth? Eh? It's the best thing, isn't it, about having a social on a nice lake like this, you know. It don't really matter if anyone catches or no one catches. It's all about having a nice time, innit? Spend a couple of serious nights on the bank, and then on a Friday come and see the boys, have a catch up with the men, couple of beers, couple of bites. Oh, that's sharp as and have a lovely time in the sun. Sun's always shining in the Cotswolds. When I was at college, I actually hadn't even heard of the Cotswold Water Park at all. It was only like when we was down there and I was at Sparsholt, you know, with Simon Scott and Viv Shears and a couple of other lecturers, you know, and we was doing the fishery management. Obviously we started to learn about all the different lakes and how they're dug and, you know, barrage ponds like silty lakes, all the gravel pits, the gravel extraction and things like that. And part of the course was to actually come and visit all these different quarries. And with the water park, because it's always expanding all the time, they're constantly extracting all the gravel from all the different, like obviously they're just fields, you know, when they're first, when the machines and the diggers and that, they first turn up, the quarries buy the field and then they extract all the gravel out of it, and then it's all sold and it's distributed all over the country. But I hadn't even heard of the Cotswold Water Park, you know. At the time it was the biggest man-made wildlife habitat in Europe. That was 15 years ago. Simon Scott brought us up, van load of us, I think there's about 20 of us on a minibus. And he brought us up here, about an hour away it was, down in Winchester. And we come up and we visited 5 or 6 different lakes at all different stages of the extraction of the gravel. So some of the lakes were, you know, they were just digging the gravel out of it. Some of them were like mid landscape, you know, they're filling up with water and they're kind of landscaping all the banks and everything. And then a couple of them were obviously the more mature lakes. One of the lakes actually went on to then start working on is Keynes Park. And that was about 15 years ago now. Like I say, that I moved here, I got kicked out of college and then ended up getting my job here. I did my work experience with a company called The Watermark. I phoned my old boss up, my ex-boss now, and just said to him, you know, is there any chance of getting a job up here? Luckily, he said, yeah, pack all your belongings, drive on up here. So that was it. Packed everything I owned into my little Ford Connect, everything, all my fishing tackle, all my clothes, everything. And that was it. I drove up here, not knowing what to expect, not knowing where I was going to be living or anything. And my first job on the list was to landscape the whole of Bradley's. You know, it's a massive, massive lake. I did the video on there a couple of years ago now, and it's matured so much over the years, you know, hand raking every single part of it, hand planting all the trees, all the reeds, stocking fish into it, and it's just an amazing thing to see it 15 years later from when I first turned up, just mud banks. And now, you know, it's beautiful grass, 20-foot tall trees all the way around it, and massive 40-pound fish. So it's like an achievement, you know, just to see how much it's grown, and it's still growing, and it's a lovely thing. It's a lovely thing to achieve in my life. After running the fishery and running the country park for 10 years, something like that, I didn't lose interest in it because it, you can't lose interest in something that I think that you want to just do naturally all the time. You know, I love working outside and I love the outdoors. I think if you're a fisherman, and it's part of you, innit? You know, like I definitely wouldn't want to be stuck in an office, kind of stuck behind a desk or something like that. I could never stand anything like that. But working outside and in the water, you know, doing crayfishing and things like that, it's just sick. It's just mega, isn't it? Like I just love all of that, and it's me. I like working with my hands and I like grafting and pushing myself a little bit with things, you know, like staying up late when you're fishing at night and that, and just doing that little bit extra. But yeah, just before COVID, I eventually said to my boss, handed me notice in, and decided to go self-employed on my own. And since I've done that, my phone just don't stop ringing. You know, I'm really passionate about my work. I always do my work to my best of my capabilities, and I just enjoy getting up every morning and, you know, just going out there grafting. Like, it's not hard work, is it? If you enjoy it, it's not hard work. Working with people as well, you know, not just being stuck in the same place all the time, so being stuck on the same complex of lakes or the housing developments, you know, cutting grass and doing lakeside management and things, but going out different people's gardens and different fisheries, doing a little bit here, a bit there. Like today, we're sorting out my mate's gates. He had some electric gates installed, and we just did a little bit of fencing around there, and it was lovely. You know, what isn't there to like about it? You sat by a lake all day, or well, not sat by it, but you know, you're working by lakes all day in different people's gardens and that, and it's a very rich area of the country, the Cotswolds. It's incredible. Some of the houses that I've got to work on, like Bradley's Lake, for example, you know, installed, I think it's about 400 metres of koi roll system and rebuilt all the gardens and everything, because the housing company which come in and developed and landscaped all the gardens had no idea about waterscaping. So within a couple of months, all the garden are washed away, you know, and it's a £2 million house. So it's just so nice, isn't it? And just the community of people which are down here in the area, you know, it's all very local. You know, you can drive 10 minutes one way and 10 minutes the other way, and that is the whole circumference of the water park. You know, every angler, you drive through the village, put your hand up, you go in any pub, and there'll always be someone sitting there who's a fisherman or someone that you've worked with, or, you know, just one of your mates. And you finish work after a good day's graft, go and have a quick pint, have a chat, catch up with everyone, load the gear into a van, get down the lake. It's beautiful, you know. And like I say, with most of the lakes in the park, you can drive round quite a few of them, you know. So as you're driving round, you see, oh, there, you know, there's Trev. Put your hand up, there's Trev, there's Frank, there's Tobe, you know, and you wave into everyone that, and it's just lovely, isn't it? The sun's always shining, the weather's always great, beer tastes better, and the carp are just absolutely incredible. You know, like some of the older lakes, some of the stock of fish have come from one of the most historic lakes, you know, kind of after Redmire, I suppose, like Ashley Pool. It's not really like been written about a lot in a lot of books, but one of my mates, he's currently writing a book about it, and it's a beautiful lake. And I was lucky enough years ago to actually be involved in the redevelopment of the lake, because when we got there, there was nothing, there was no water in it. It was about 6 inches of water and about 6 foot of silt. So to extract all the silt out of it and then re-landscape the whole thing, we built a willow hurdle dam at one end, and all the silt that we took out we put behind the willow hurdle, and that's now like a live natural fence, you know. And it's just a really nice part of being of the history of it. Throughout the whole time that someone's always owned that lake, they've always kept like a diary or a book of all the gardening, all the trees that have all been planted. So luckily for me, like, you know, I've planted trees there. Now my name's in that history of the books. So it's a lovely thing to be involved with and carry on working towards. Is better in my work, better in my fishing, and keep living the dream and living in the Cotswolds. That's what I love. That's what we do, innit? Catching big scaly carp. Happy days.
being like over 170 lakes now in the park. I don't know how many there is exactly, but there's a lot, you know, and like I say, not all of them are accessible, but the ones which are, they cover like everyone's style of angling, whether it's roach fishing or tench fishing, bream fishing, or you really want to track down and come here and try and hunt down one of these massive, like big sailing pit carp, you know, and you might only have 20 carp in 150 acres, 6 swims, all on one bank. It's all out of bounds and that, you know, whatever kind of fishing you want, it's here. If you want a day ticket water and you want to come and have 5 or 6 bites in a day, and it's all covered for, you know. But the thing is with these carp in the park, it's like, they're just so different, I find, to any other fish I've fished for around the country, because where these lakes are so crystal clear and the water quality is just so good. Like I've said it about in the past about the crayfish and things, the fish, because they've been in these lakes so long, like from juveniles, from spawn and that, you know, they've developed their own features. They've got these big, massive mouths, you know, just ready to inhale them crayfish. Like, especially this time of year, we're just coming into May now, and soon enough the crayfish, or they probably already have. We were looking for them last night, you know. You can't see any of them in the margins or anything. So what that says to me is that they've gone into a molt where they've shedded the skin and that, and they're just like a big jelly baby, just sitting in a little burrow on the bottom, you know, and them carp are just lapping up that protein of that. They'll be spawning pretty soon, and all they want to do is pack on as much weight as they can. Them crayfish, it's just like a fillet steak sitting there on the bottom of the lake, you know, and that's what they want. And the crayfish side of it just makes a lot of the angling on probably 80% of the lakes, you know. It makes it so much tougher, because the thing is these crayfish here, they're so big. It's not like they're like 5 or 6 inches. You're talking 12, 13 inch long crayfish here, you know, the kind of thing that you think like they're there with your rig over the shoulder like that, and they're just dragging 6-ounce leads straight across the gravel bars, blunting your hooks and everything, and that's what you're up against. You ain't just up against like some of the other anglers or the wildlife for birds and that. It's nothing to do with that. You're up against these big, massive bloody crayfish, you know, and they destroy your rigs. Like, if you're fishing a rig with shrink tube and putty and that, you reel in the morning, that rig is absolutely battered. You'll have no tubing, you'll have no putty left on it. You know, your up point will be bird over and that, and it's just another factor which makes the water park so much harder to catch these big fish from. But it's good, you know, it's different. I absolutely love it. I think the challenge is so much harder, and what it gives you is when you do get that fish, that bite, you know, you're absolutely buzzing, do you know what I mean? It's just mega in it. Like, you've worked so hard, you've fished against the people walking around the lake, the boaters on the lakes, the out of bounds, people bloody throwing balls in for the dogs in your swim, swimmers in your swim, whatever it is. Like, you know, we're here when we've got a big massive road behind, as loud as anything, you know. That's not particularly nice, is it? But it don't matter when you've got that big 40-pound, big fat scaly 40-pounder in the net, does it? It's absolutely sick. Yes, and we're back for part 2 of this little fishing adventure over on Pochard. We said we were going to come back in the winter, but unfortunately, due to some circumstances, pike fishing, a couple of us weren't very well as well. We've managed to get back now. It's early spring. Clocks only went back the other day. We turned up here earlier. We've had a walk round, and they've absolutely well and truly woken up this time, you know. There's fish everywhere. They're all over the spots, they're in the margins, they're out long. Wherever you look, there's fish, you know. Just turning up, getting the rods out straight away. I'd hit the clip on my main rod, and it just went just a little bit past the spot.
just slowly just dragged it back, and with that, the rod was away in my hand. I couldn't believe it, to be honest, because it was an old rig from the week before. But yeah, luckily we haven't weighed this one, but he's going to be close to 30 pounds. He's a lovely fish, put up hell of a fight, and hopefully it's the start of things to come. We've come for a big one this time. We want a 30 pounder, over 30 pound, 40 pounder would be better. But yeah, look at that, magic. Cotswold gold. Go on. Tell you what, I don't reckon that's far off 30. She's getting close to it. It's a lovely fish, nice big mirror. Tell you what, it's plump though, isn't it, for this time of year? I'll fit to fight another day. Get out of that way. Right, I've had the rods out for a good couple of hours now. After we put that fish back, I've seen loads and loads of shows, loads of action. We can even see them, like, you know, just cruising just under the surface, and that, loads of fizzing coming up, but no more action at all. That first one, it was a bit of a fluke, you know. It hit the clip, landed down the bottom, and it went in my hand. Although it was bang on the same spot as well, I've still got me 2 other rods, they're still out there. I've whacked a load of bait in there, maggots, pellet, a little bit of sweet corn. And no boilers in there yet, but I'll keep constantly getting liners. We've got a bit of it on film. Both the bobbins are going at the same time, so something's obviously not sitting right out there, or you know, it's just, that's some magic of fishing in it. You just never know. So I'm going to reel them in a minute. I'm going to whack my marker back out there, and then probably just use a boat, just go out there, because what I want to do is just spread a few boilies around instead of just having that tight spawn bait which I put out earlier. I want to have a little bit of a spread of boilies, so in the night when I get a fish, because we know that all the bites come in the evening usually, just straight into dark on here. So I just want to have a little bit more of a spread of bait, and then at least, you know, if I'm not, because it's quite a small patch of like silty, gravelly clay that I'm fishing on, if I don't hit it bang on, you know, the drop might feel good at night with me fishing braid, but if it doesn't land exactly on that spot with my little hinges out there, I know that I've just got a little bit of bait that's always going to be around the area, so, and hopefully that'll help pick off a bigger fish. My right hander, which is on a single bank stick, firing it outright. Seen fish constantly coming out throughout the day, and they're covered in clay. Now, where they keep coming out, I've just whacked a marker out there, and I think the lead is still covered in clay. That's how deep it is. So hopefully that's the area they've been using, rubbing in it. You know, it's springtime, so they're waking up, rubbing all those leeches off them, getting all the minerals out the clay as well, you know, and they're taking it into the bodies. So if we can get some bait out there, presented nicely, just boilers. I'm going for just a big fish tactic on that rod. Again, I'll fish a hinge with a matcha hatch, just a krill pop up, 16mm krill. And hopefully, like I say, that'll get us a bigger fish bite rather than fishing over small particles of bait with the maggots and fishing a little maggot rig, you know. But like I say, it's a magic of fishing, you never know, but fingers crossed we'll get that big one. Right, I tell you what, that is a money spot. It's going to go off, boy. That's got 40 pounder written all over it. Like, I can see it glowing off the bottom, like. Oh, wallop. Fantastic. This rig here, this is the fantastic rig, it's called. Got to watch that last one, ain't you? You never want to whip it off your last one and just catch your hook and blunt it. There we go. Last loop that side, last loop this one, and then pick your rig up. Because that is ninja sharp, that hook. You don't want to lose that sharpness. Oh, wallop! That's a bite. On the money, son. On the money.
It's about 6:30 at the minute and it's absolutely freezing. I don't know what happened to the weather last night, but it really dropped quickly, the temperature overnight. I got done twice actually on my 2 rods, and had a small common as well. It was probably about £5 or £6. Just got that off in the margins, like no need to get that one out for anything this morning, but quiet, you know, like last time when we was here, loads of shows all throughout the night, all throughout the morning as well, and this time just nothing. It's really quiet. Still getting plenty of liners, but no more bites. I think as the sun gets up over the trees behind us and it starts casting its beams down over the lake, gives us a bit of warmth, I think we'll be all right, and I think hopefully we'll get a couple more bites. I believe that's away. This could be the better one, isn't it now? I think it's a little one by the fields, isn't it? He's going for that island. It's only a little one. It's a little plump one, look. Yes! Get in that net, boy. Lovely. Only a little one, but let's get him an hooks and let's get that rod back out on that spot. Look at that, it's still slicking up out there now, look. Right over the top of it. Where's my mat? Hey, well, despite how nice the weather looks now, I can guarantee it's absolutely freezing. We've already had a bit of snow, a bit of sleet. Conditions are set to get worse throughout the day. This is the biggest of the 3 bites I had this morning and through, you know, the early hours of this morning when it was dark, but we've definitely noticed a change, probably due to the weather as well and the time of year. The fish aren't really feeding in the evenings, and in the night it's definitely going to be a daytime action today, I reckon. So this is the biggest one. He's probably about £20. The rods are all back out there, they're all fishing, all of them on the clip. First 3 casts, a couple of spoms straight back over the top, just some more maggots again. I have put them all back onto bottom baits though now with the old maggots rather than the hinges, because they just kept doing the bites. So hopefully, with the conditions set to change, like I say, and get worse, hopefully we'll still get a few though, you know. Got to be in it to win it. The Cotswold Water Park is renowned for its big massive sailing lakes and public lakes, park lakes, you know, activity lakes, and just paddle boarding and canoeing and the swimming through them, triathlons and all these activities which go on for anglers give us massive restrictions. The bank space that we have is not a lot at all. For the amount of lakes that are in the water park, we can't actually fish that many of the lakes, and also that much of the water which are actually in the lakes, you know. The restrictions are huge, so some lakes might have massive big bays, buoyed off areas, boats, jetties, deckings, you know, like this one here. There's a big massive island round to the left, a big spit which comes out, and that just stops me being able to cast all the way straight into that bay where the fish are being held up. Now, what I can do is I can cast well. So with my casting ability, you know, I can get that little bit further than most anglers and keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it, where I can reach their safe zone, you know, where the fish are happy, the stress-free, you know, there's no no one else might have fished there like that distance, you know, you're going out 200 yards sometimes, you know what I mean, and the average angler's at like 150 on the lake or whatever, and if you can get that bait, get your rods out there, get your rigs presented perfectly, then it's going to put extra fish on the bank for you. To be honest with you, I was just chilling out, just having a little lie down with the dogs. I was knackered after having a few bites and that this morning, and off it's melted. Doesn't feel like a exceptionally big fish, but you never know. He tore off. See a Maria's, look, about the same size as the last one again. Definitely a lot of 20 pounders in this lake. A little bit of a scalier thing, isn't he? The death roll. Yes! Lovely. Oh, he's a bit of a plump one, this one. Probably about 23, 24 pounds, something like that. Again, on the maggots, keep spomming them out there. Every time I spom them out, just seem to keep getting takes at the minute. So without any further action, man, I'm gonna get these rods straight back out there, wrap them up, new rigs, back out, bit more bait. Still plugging away for this big one, hopefully last night tonight. See if we can get her. Go on, the boy, look at that, lovely. Well done. Lovely. Well, that ain't a great start to the morning, is it? Dan come over this morning, asked me if I wanted a cup of tea, obviously. Just sat up looking out in, it's absolutely freezing again. All the houses on the far bank got all frost all over them. The bivvy's got a bit of frost on it and everything. And the rod just, one toner just ripped off. I'd had a little mirror in the night, so recast in the night, you know, it's about midnight. It the clip went down perfect, and it's just sat there all night, that rod. And then, look, say not first thing, about 6:30 this morning, it's tore off. Got it 10 metres from the bank, and unfortunately the lead hadn't come off on the old clip, and lost what felt like a little bit of a better fish. I don't think it was a monster at all, but it was definitely a little bit of a better fish. Sad, innit? But that's fishing. So re-rigged up, wrap up, whack it back out there, hope for the best. It's daytime now, obviously, and all the bites have come in today, so hopefully we'll be on for a few more. On the zig. So just as we're about to pack up, my zig's gone. I've only seen one or two, but showing out there long this morning. But every time the boys have put the drone up, we've been seeing them cruising about right under the surface, you know. If I hadn't put a marker over there, I kind of thought, I know it's not deep and it's only a little 3-footer and it's gone. I think I'm going to do well to get in though, because it's so weedy out here in front of this swim. I'll keep pressure on him. He's banging his head about a bit, so he's obviously moving. Hopefully it's that 30-pounder. He's gone into it again. Here he comes. Not good having that lead on there. Ooh. Yes! F***ing right, that's a good fish as well, that is. Buzzing. Yes! That's a one, boys. Mate, that's a banger, isn't it? Look at that. That's what we've come here for. Look, there's me up bait. Beautiful. On the ziggy. How's about that then? Just before we're about to reel in, pack up and go. About an hour ago I made a last minute decision, just sling a zig out. I haven't put one out the whole time I've been there, but just try and fish on the bottom for them, you know. They're really active when we turned up and they were definitely up for having it on the bottom. It's been really quiet today, no bites, so why not just sling a zig out, you know. It's last hour, innit? What could go wrong? And then this banger turns up. Look at that. I'm buzzing with that, man. You know, oh, it's a lovely fish. For any of you all like that, would be absolutely over the moon with that. Go on, the boy. Well, it's not a 40-pounder. It's not over 30-pound, but when they look like this, I don't care. That's what we come here for. Beautiful jet black mirror. Look at that. He's stunning, isn't he? On the zig as well, I'm buzzing with that. Last knockings. Go on.